Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to What You Need to Know. I am Sybil Wilkes, and it is Monday, so that means our social activist. That's Coy Malone right there for you in there in the middle. And of course, Mondays, as they have come to know this as Chris and Huggy Mondays. Chris, Paul, and Huggy Lowdown, hello to you.
What's up, Sybil?
Hello, how are you? Happy Monday.
How you doing?
Happy Monday. Happy
Coy.
Monday, everybody.
Happy
And we
Monday.
are
Hi, Coy.
getting, and those of us in Texas are getting a little bit back to normal. The weather, you're not going to believe this, like 70 degrees yesterday and today, but
Wow.
we're getting back to normal here. But what is not normal is still the situation that's going on a daily basis in our African American community. And what we have tried to do over the years that I learned from Tom Joyner is to super serve the African American community, to give you the information of stories that you may not see as much information on or see the videos of, but we are on the case. And thanks to Coy bringing this story to our attention. We are talking to Diamonds Ford. She's the young lady in the middle there. Her attorneys are Mr. Stephen Kelly, who is raising his hand there, and Mr. Wade Roll. And we are talking about the situation that happened to Diamonds in Jacksonville, Florida. And just want you to hear this and give you all a taste of what Diamonds Ford woke up to. Okay, as we're trying to get this video together, I want you to understand, that's okay. And as Coy said, imagine waking up in the middle of the night and your bedroom window is being broken from the outside. And you
give me the name of the street.
72, please, 7232 Rutledge. Please,
Rutledge?
Please hurry.
What's happening?
Someone's shooting.
Ford continues to talk to the dispatcher.
We finna die home.
7232 Rutledge Pearson Drive, correct?
Yeah.
Do you know who's shooting?
Oh, wait, what? Wait, that's the sheriff's office. Okay, hey, hold on, wait. Hold on, whoa. Hello, wait. What? Nothing. Wait, you're... I'm opening the door. You got the wrong house.
Imagine that. And there, but for the grace of God, Diamonds Ford is not Breonna Taylor. Okay? And so we are very glad and very lucky to have them here tonight talking to Diamonds and to her attorneys, Stephen Kelly and Wade Roll, for those of you who are just joining us. And this is happening in Jacksonville, Florida. Let me go to you first, Attorney Stephen Kelly. We heard that 911 call. Can you set the picture for us?
Absolutely. And what I will say to you is, as of today, I don't have the obligation to have to set that picture for everyone, because luckily we have a video that shows a portion of this. And from what we can see on that video, her perspective is correct. But to set that to set that imagery for you, we have Diamonds and her fiance asleep. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a Monday morning, correct?
Monday morning.
It was a Monday morning, and unfortunately for them, they attended a funeral the night prior. They got to their home around 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, Mr. Gant took a death very, very hard, and according to Miss Ford, they stayed up and chatted throughout the night. They went to sleep extremely late. 8 o'clock that morning, she's awakened by glass shattering and what she believed to be shots being fired into her home. To be very blunt, she lives in a high crime area, and this is not abnormal for Mrs. Ford and for that area for there to be shootings and things of that sort. Now, she lived a crime-free life her entire life, so she's woken up in that morning, 8 in the morning. She thought that she had a home, that her home was being invaded. She thought someone was there to take her life. Her being a licensed carrier in the state of Florida, she fired her firearm in self-defense. She fired 5 to 6 shots. She had 5, and she's unsure of this to this day, but she had 5 shots and 1 in the chamber. And she shot all the ammo that was available to her, and she fled to the bathroom and got into the bathtub, crawled into a bathtub with her fiance as well as her small Yorkie, and she called the police. You can hear the fear in her voice, and what you can't hear for that smidgen of the video that we do have, the audio rather, you don't hear any announcements until quite some time. And these officers are saying that they make continuous announcements. From there, immediately, the moment that she heard JSO announce themselves, she did what she would have done initially, and she complied.
That's the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office.
That's the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, Sybil.
So Diamonds, can I ask you, now that we have the picture, what is going through your mind? Can you just kind of give us a feeling of your feelings, of the emotions that you were experiencing at that time?
At that time, I'm in shock. I'm thinking that it's something else going on outside. I'm thinking maybe somebody's breaking into the home. I have so many thoughts going on, and it's just moving so fast. But we live in a high crime area, so I just assumed someone was just trying to break into our home.
Right. I am so sorry that this happened to you, but as they are announcing themselves before, and this is a part of the SWAT officers who said this was a part of a nationwide attempt for drug arrests. Is that right, Attorney Kelly?
Well, it was not a nationwide, but what happened was there was some confidential informant or something of that sort that led to a number of private residents in the city of Jacksonville that they hit simultaneously. So at this point, what took place was it was two residents, and they came into Miss Ford's home. She was not subject to that warrant. She's not a person of interest or anything of the sort. And I'll tell you, I don't commit crimes, so I don't expect anyone to come to my home to execute a search warrant. And Miss Ford, like all of us, found herself in that same situation. And it's a shame because what we have here for sure is we have 30 officers who are coming to a private citizen's home. 30 SWAT officers.
Whoa.
Not only JSO, but the DEA as well. In 2021, where we spend this type of the funding on our budget to ensure transparency, where they have body cams reasonably available to them. And we have these officers come to her home, and they're calling this a high risk warrant. And they're coming in with military grade weapons and ammunition. And the thing that they did not come in with is the body cameras. So there's
come on.
Absolutely. So there is no a true depiction of what took place here. So at this point, you would assume that if that is the facts, you would assume that there would be an investigation, right? Like there was with George Zimmerman when he took Trayvon Martin's life. You would assume that there would be an investigation, and if that investigation showed any criminality on behalf of Miss Ford or Mr. Gant, that she may be later arrested. But that's not what happened with Miss Gant. That's not what happened with a lot of people that fit the demographics of Miss Ford. Miss Ford was arrested immediately, and Mr. Gant was as well. They went in and they did what most defense attorneys would tell them not to do. They told the entire story, front and back. They
had nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide. I've allowed any and everyone to talk to Miss Ford and to her family as well, because I don't have to muster up anything with this story. So all I have to do is let her tell her truth. And she did that. She sat down for 4 hours. She was in the interrogation room, and she told the story time and time again. She told it again on the way to the jail, and she was charged that night. So that's flaw number two. Then she made the first appearance, and considering that she's not a flight risk, considering that she hasn't proved to be a historic danger to the community, she's held on a $535,000 bond, as what it was called. Truly, it's a ransom, in my opinion. Mr. Rowe referred to it as, and that was the third injustice. So we get the audio tape, Sybil, and we do everything on our behalf to kind of show her perspective and show who she is. Talk to the state regarding arranging a meeting and things of that sort. And that didn't happen yet, but we're hopeful that is going to happen this week. And they formally filed the information against her. And then we had the bond hearing in front of Judge Sharbula, and that bond wasn't reduced either, considering, her personal demographics and not being a flight risk and not being a danger to the community. So the system thus far has failed Ms. Ford, and moving forward, the only justice coming out of this is going to be if these charges are dropped. But for the people coming around and us putting this story out and bringing awareness, and the people coming together, Ms. Ford would still be down at the Duval County Jail, held on that $500,000 bond, because she simply couldn't afford it. Under no circumstances would she ever have been able to afford that bond. And it's just a shame considering the facts.
We're going to continue with the facts, and Coy, I want you to pick up from here in talking to our guests, and just to reset here. Diamonds Ford and her fiance Anthony Gant in September of last year were awakened in their home in Jacksonville, Florida, to the sound of SWAT officers and the sheriff's department coming in, and we heard a little bit of the 911 call, and we'll try to replay that as we continue this interview. But Coy, you want to step in from here?
Yes, I just want to say, again, thank you all for joining us today. Diamonds, I'm so happy that you and your fiance made it out of this situation safely. I know during a time where we have seen several cases across the country where search warrants are served, more so within our communities at the wrong addresses, and we suffer consequences, not only consequences, but a lot of these things cause a lot of traumatic effects. I do understand that also your fiance, Anthony Gant, is currently incarcerated. Can you all give us a little bit more insight as to the status of his case right now? And are we looking at a release date coming up?
Well, I can address that. Today we had court, ourselves and Mr. Gant, and Mr. Gant had a bond hearing at length, and we're hopeful that the court will rule in his favor Thursday of this week and reduce or modify his bond. But to be quite frank with you guys, I heard all of the argument that was made on behalf of Mr. Gant this morning, or this afternoon rather, and the arguments were made back in Diamond's bond hearing in November. So I am not hopeful that the court is going to reduce or modify the bond, but right now it's going to take $350,000 for Mr. Gant to be released, or 10% of that, and they simply don't have that funding.
Wade Roll, this is your law firm. And can you tell us the name of the firm?
It's the law offices of Wade M. Roll and Associates.
Okay, so we have your associate here, and you are the man who owns the firm and leads a great team of lawyers, I'm sure. How in the world does it happen that today you have a hearing for this young man, and why doesn't the judge just gavel and say, you're out, you're done, okay, let's go, let's move on with this case? How is he still in there until Thursday when they come down with a decision?
Well, traditionally, bonds in Duval County, I believe, have been abnormally high. It's like you're paying the penalty for a crime that you have neither admitted nor has been proven. So definitely for people who are not born into great wealth, because you'd have to have $35,000 cash and $350,000 in collateral, it sets the stage where people are incarcerated and being punished for a crime they did not commit. They go through despair. They're taken from their families. They lose their families, their finances. And in such a way, that is almost, in a sense, it's so onerous because it forces people to accept fate when they may not have committed any crime, just to get out, to find an ending to this. There are people down there locked up for 3 or 4 years at this point who can't make these exorbitant bonds. At least today, I believe that these bonds are way high considering the demographics of the crime, the fact that these people have, like Ms. Ford, no record.
Mr. Gant has no criminal history either, and the judge uses the justification of taking it under advisement. She took our case under advisement as well, and I believe it took maybe
3 weeks.
at least 2 weeks for us to get a ruling in November. And what I will say is,
That's so crazy.
I'm a litigator. We litigate. We're defense lawyers. So our job is to be prepared to try the case if the case reaches a trial level. But going through the system is supposed to have so many checks and balances that just cases like this does not reach that point. And then that point is high risk. So we know the comparable nature of this case and Breonna Taylor's case. And the issue here is that this charge that they've charged Ms. Ford with, the mandatory sentence is life.
Jesus.
Wow. No.
So you're talking about Breonna Taylor losing her life. We're literally talking about Ms. Ford losing her life. Now, when I say that, well, I don't mean that rhetorically.
Right.
I mean that literally the minimum sentence for this charge is life.
And that's without parole.
So
there is no parole.
All of these systematic issues that are affecting our community disproportionately, from the cash bail system to minimum mandatories, right?
Yes.
To the lack of these policies, not including we don't have a policy that requires law enforcement officers, SWAT team members they know that they're going into a private residence home.
Right.
They know that. It's not like it's a spur of the moment, it just happened.
Right.
Or undercover investigation that just happened. No, you sat down, you had a conference, and you made a plan, a procedure, an operation. You have an operation. You know you're going to do it, a date, time certain, and you do not have the decency, or better yet, you have the gall to enter into the home, considering the fact that you have this available to you and not have it. It's a shame.
It's unbelievable. Diamonds, and I think Coy and I were talking about this. How is your fiance? How is Mr. Gant?
I don't know how to answer that question. He's more worried on the inside than anything. One, he's worried about, where he is currently, which is in general population. He's also worried about, taking care of me and taking care of his stepdaughter as well. It's so much going on in his head, and it's only so much he can do because he's on the inside.
He's there, yeah.
And you know what he did? He woke up to Miss Ford screaming and saying, "Hand me the gun," because it's closer to his bed. Him thinking that his home is being shot up, and he took refuge up next to the bed initially, and his fiance is shooting out, thinking that they're saving the family's life. So you can imagine the mental challenges that he's going through as a man, as a husband. I know how I would feel if circumstances found myself to where my wife had to defend the home, and then we're arrested, and now we're separated. They had the nerve also to object to these two co-defendants even having communication with each other. They had a no contact order as a provision to a bond. I mean,
it's worse and worse.
It is this case, Sybil. Seriously, and I cannot wait until I sit down with the powers that be here in the Fourth Circuit. But I live in Jacksonville. Originally, I'm from Augusta, but this is my home, and I don't want our city to be. I don't want our city to be that example. I think that we can temper justice with mercy and do the right thing, and I think it's going to take awareness to this story to really be able to just expose the facts of what took place, and I'm assured that everyone will be at all.
Chris and Huggy, you've been listening to the story. Chris, Paul, and Huggy Lowdown are with us and listening to the story. Anything that you all would like to ask of our guest or to chime in on?
I don't know if there's anything I want to ask, but it's what I've been feeling the whole time. Like from the moment you played that audio, my stomach has been in knots. So I can only imagine the anxiety that Diamonds has been experiencing ever since, and her fiance has felt ever since. I mean, you took away what is supposed to be the safe space of not just Black people, any man or any woman. Your safe space is supposed to be your home.
Your home, right?
We're raised and we're told that if you live a good life and you just work hard and you don't get in trouble or anything, you will be safe in your own home. And they took that from them. And now, beyond that, they're trying to take away their future. They're trying to take away the future of these people. It's horrible, and I'm just devastated hearing this. I'm devastated. And I can only imagine mentally what you're going through, Diamonds, and what your fiance is going through. I mean, even when if God, please drop all these charges and let you all move on with your life, it's going to be a long road to move on with your life. Right. It's going to be a long road. It'll always be there. It'll always be there that somebody who's supposed to protect you broke into your home and almost killed you. And we know Black people die in their own homes. So that had to have gone through your mind at the time.
Definitely.
It's just horrible.
Absolutely.
It's like horrible, man. We can't even be safe. We're not safe anywhere.
We're not.
Mr. Paul, let me ask you this. Have you ever known someone to call the police on the police after they just shot the police?
Never.
It doesn't happen.
Right.
It just doesn't. So it's things. I'm sorry.
No. I just wanted to get this question in. Danielle Murray is asking, what is your fiance's charges if you own the gun and fired the shot? What is the charge against him if this is your gun and you fired the shot, Diamonds?
There's two charges that they both have. They have the attempted murder on a law enforcement officer, and they also have the armed possession of marijuana with intent to sell or distribute. And he's being charged as a principal, simply for the facts of being the one who passed her the gun. That's how he's being charged. Now they're both being charged because there was 124 grams of marijuana. Being mindful that they were coming in on this search warrant to find is supposed to be a
cache of drugs,
cocaine, and all, whatever the case may be. That's what the warrant was for. That had nothing to do with Miss Ford at all, and no one is saying that. But they found 124 grams of marijuana in a roommate's room.
In the roommate's room, and
no nexus between that and the firearm or anything. It's just something bad happened to law enforcement officers, and because of this, and
I want justification.
Absolutely, and we always say it. We hear this phrase, "They're doubling down," and I think that a lot of times to stop that, you kind of have to have that conversation and get your position, get the exposure to what's going on, so this wrong can be righted.
It's hard to trust. It's hard to trust law enforcement in our community when this stuff keeps happening over and over and over again, and they try to create the narrative. Yeah,
that's absolutely right.
And how many times when the police shoot someone, do they defend themselves by saying it's a split decision? You only have a moment to react. The moment they stop and second guess, that officer can already be dead. The same thing goes for this couple here. Yes. Their house is being broken into.
Right.
Should they wait? Should they wait until they get shot by who they believe are intruders?
And mind you, these are trained officers.
Right.
Absolutely.
These are trained officers. So they know what to do.
And mind you that she isn't.
She isn't. That's
right.
It's a lot to stand behind that gun and pull that trigger, especially when you haven't. When you don't do that on a regular occasion,
you're in survival mode. You're in survival mode.
And I think that is evidence of the fact, considering historically what her history has shown.
Right.
What we're being subjected to is the militarization of police forces. These are military tactics that are used to apprehend persons of interest overseas during wartime. And they have taken these tactics and used them against regular everyday citizens that go to work, we go to school. We're concerned about, do I have enough gas in my tank today? Did I get enough sleep? What am I eating for breakfast? We're not thinking about who's going to bust down my door, military style, to apprehend me on something I may not have done.
Right.
It's just crazy. It's the systematic breakdown of Black America that is targeting us, and it is at our expense, unfortunately. And I hate to see it.
What I'd like to point out to you is the understanding no one expects the police to break out your window and enter that way. It's obvious that you would have thought that a burglar or someone that intends to cause great harm to you will come through a window, rip out your window in an attempt to enter into a home, then that person means you nothing but great harm.
Right.
Let me, for folks who are just joining us, we are talking to Diamonds Ford and her attorneys. This is Stephen Kelly and Mr. Wade Roll, talking about a situation that happened to Diamonds and her fiance in September of last year, 2020, September 28th, in which they were awakened on that morning by police as a part of a narcotics warrant, resulting in one officer being wounded with life-threatening injuries. And Diamond, if it's not too much for you, and you can tell me no, I want for people who may have missed it, if we could replay that portion of the 911 call that we had. Is that okay? Okay.
Give me the name of the street.
72, please, 7232 Rutledge.
Rutledge?
Please hurry.
What's happening?
Someone's shooting.
Ford continues to talk to the dispatcher.
Are you gonna die?
7232 Rutledge Pearson Drive, correct?
Yeah.
Do you know who's shooting?
Oh, wait, what? Wait, that's the sheriff's office. Okay, hey, hold on, wait. Hold on, whoa. Hello, wait. Whoa. Nothing. Wait, here. I'm opening the door. You got the wrong house.
Diamond, I got to tell you, I don't know how you had the presence of mind to even have that in you. I don't know you, but to have that presence of mind, I know I don't have it in me. I have such and hold you in such high esteem because of the way that you responded to this, obviously. And I also want to talk about how you are out because were it not for a number of organizations, you too might still be in prison, in the jail?
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
Oh, honey, no. It was. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. I mean, we've had this talk, and this story has to be told. And she knows that that this case, and she has a calling. And we just watched the video. We just watched the video. Her and
you
I
saw it today, right?
Miss Ford saw this video today, and I spent some time talking to her about the contents of that video, and that video, if it wasn't for citizens, I don't know, if it wasn't for just exposure to people who've contacted me, the people who are in that area who didn't want to talk to officers that came to their home and things of that sort, if it wasn't for social media and exposure, I'm not sure where. I know where Diamonds would be. Diamonds would be down at the Duval County Jail, and I know the police would definitely be weaker. So she understands that she got to tell her story.
I want to know what that last shot was about on the audio. Like the last shot after she said, "Whoa, wait, we're coming out." Then there's another gunshot. Like they fired another shot after someone said, "Wait,"
Chris,
bruh.
You listen. You know what they said? You ain't seen nothing yet. Not the shot after she's in the house. You should have seen what happened once they got out of the house. Now be mindful that my client was sleeping. And what do you normally sleep in? Pajamas or under
or if that, right?
So my client was taken out in what?
I was taken out in a t-shirt. I had on some of his boxers and some socks.
She's in boy shorts and a t-shirt. And, I mean, she's in nightwear. It's obvious. And once they got outside, and you can see this tear gas, you can see smoke everywhere. Initially, we thought it was rubber bullets, but there were some type of distractive devices or whatever the case may be. And it continued for some time, even after they're outside with their hands up. And the biggest issue with that is that you have a lot of people who come around who would say, we heard police announcements and then we heard booms and bangs. Now the state is trying to use that to say these people heard announcements before the shooting. But as you can tell, even with the video, and the audio, you can hear after the announcement. Number one, the first thing you can hear is there's no continuous announcements. That's not true.
So they announced and then broke the glass.
No. Yeah, and that's in the time where you guys were running the story. Mr. Rowe told me to clear this up. Number one, there's no life-threatening injuries from this officer. Now he was definitely shot, but he was shot in his protective vest, and I know that he was out on leave for a couple of days, and I know that he is back, or for some time. Let me not say a couple of days, and now he is fine. No, so no, not life-threatening injuries.
Right.
But they came in. What we do know, they came in. Their very first contact with that residence was a break and rake on the window, the bedroom window. And the reason why that is the case is because she had privacy curtains in her window. So they're saying for officer safety, they could not see in the home. Now, one thing about not being able to see in the home with curtains, you also cannot see outside of the home,
right?
With curtains. So they broke the window, and at the same time, they were supposed to be trying to pull the burglar bars out of the off the door. Now, it's also very important to think about the burglar bars on the door and the windows, because that means that there was no way that they were going to run from you. So most people shoot at you for a reason. Like, what is the reason why Diamonds Ford, a 28-year-old mother of an 11-year-old daughter at the time, right, is going to shoot at a police officer? What is she going to do? Is she going to run? Right? You don't just shoot at a police officer. You know you only have 6 shots. It just doesn't make sense.
Right.
I'll also point out to you.
Yes, sir.
The most important aspect of this case, when you execute a search warrant, you knock and announce first. So someone can hear you, a reasonable person can hear you, police. That did not occur before they broke out that window.
In a specific residence and things of that sort, and they didn't do it. And today in his hearing, one thing that came up, and it came up during Diamond's bond hearing as well, the state said that, oh, well, you should have known just the noise of the truck alone. And he described the vehicle as making a sound like a garbage truck. Well, okay.
Come on.
And that comes in. It's still, no one likes to say it, but all of these demographics there's communal demographics that you have to take into consideration as well. You have to take into the consideration that the urban core, living in a Black urban area, sounds very different than living in a suburb. Okay, let's just be frank.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, when you're operating with that, there are certain things that you have to do. You have to make sure that you're able to communicate effectively, considering the conditions of the person that you're communicating with. So if I know, I mean, if it's Augusta, Georgia versus Chicago, I'm going to make sure that those are different variables that I have to take into consideration to ensure that the citizen is aware that I'm not an unlawful intruder. Because here in the state of Florida, if you're under the belief, a reasonable belief that this is an unlawful intruder, you have the ability, right? You don't, number one, you don't have the right requirement to flee or anything of that sort, but you have the ability to protect your castle. It's something that is
that was what I wanted to find out. Does stand your ground, does the castle law play a part in any of this?
Absolutely. The castle doctrine does. And we're also going to make a determination. We're also going to file a stand your ground motion in this case as well, because we believe that at the time, Diamonds was operating under the notion that the person who's entering into her home was an unlawful intruder committing a crime. Therefore, she has the ability to stand her ground. Luckily for everyone, no one's life was lost. But unfortunately, and then you understand that it is my job as an attorney to know what's going on within my profession across the country, because my job is to serve my clients. Right. It is law enforcement's job. It's their duty to know what is going on in our community, in their culture, in the climate that we're in now. You would have said to yourself, I don't care who you are, whatever chief or sheriff or whoever, commander should say, considering how America was in November, following the summer that we had, We're not entering people's home without body cameras.
Right.
That just should have been clear. At that point, you're kind of saying, hey, I'm going to ensure that I make sure that I dot every I and I cross every T, because I owe an obligation to mend the relationship between law enforcement and the community. And that's what our job is. That's what I am committed to do. And I hope that anyone from the other side of the aisle can look at this and say, you know what, I have to give this lady right here the benefit of the doubt. And I mean, she has no position to lie. She has no reason to.
Right.
And
Coy,
with
you
all
were
of
gonna.
these, yeah, I do have a question. With all of these factors that are going on, and with the current situation with the case, with the fact that you can apply the stand your ground law to this particular situation, and also with the fact that they were not notified properly, and that they were basically serving the wrong place at the wrong time. Are there further plans?
Correct that now, Coy. They were not serving the wrong place.
Okay.
Now, the warrant was for the home that Miss Ford was living in. Now, what I'm saying is that Miss Ford was not subject to this warrant at all. She's not a person of interest or anything of that sort. She's not related to a person of interest. She has absolutely no type of involvement in this home, or with this warrant rather.
Well, okay, thank you for that correction. And with her not being a person of interest with this warrant that was being served at her address, does this give you all grounds, or do you have plans to pursue a lawsuit against the law enforcement agency that carried out this warrant?
I can say the way I would respond to that is right now, I think that considering that her entire life is at risk, right? I have to have tunnel vision with Miss Ford, and right now my main focus is twofold. The very first thing, as her attorney, is to ensure that these charges are dropped against her, and if we have to, that she is acquitted. And then second, there in Jacksonville, Florida, in the Fourth Circuit, I would like to have, and my part is to try to do something to instill some policy that ensures that this does not happen to anyone else. There's been a number of people to reach out to Miss Ford and things of that sort, talking, about civil liability. And but what I will say is that our focus now is on this criminal case and policies that can stop this from happening to anyone else.
And that's what I wanted to ask you, Mr. Earl, because as you all are doing your due diligence in working through this case and bringing about justice to Diamonds and to Mr. Gant, are there people who are working through the legislature, I should say, in that crazy state of Florida with the crazy governor and all the other things that go along with Ron DeSantis and all of that? But are there people who are working to start the process of changing the laws or amending them or improving them in some fashion or another?
Well, we are talking to local politicians who are in the state legislature about instituting changes like this to ensure that there are body cameras, that it's not a squaring match against a citizen and a police officer, and also to ensure that they do follow the accurate procedures that are set in place. If they had properly knocked and announced in a fashion that someone in that house, anywhere in that house, would have been able to hear their presence prior to breaking in, we wouldn't have had this problem. Ms. Ford walked to that front door and opened it up and said what she said. Hey, you must have the wrong house. But proceed to do what you need to do legally. But you hear how they started. They started by breaking windows, but they started by tearing out burglar bar doors. That's not what the law is intended to do. It's intended to give an ordinary citizen the ability to come and unlock that door and to let the police in based on the presence of their legal orders.
Diamonds,
if I may very, very briefly to add to that, I will say that, yes, we are seeking to change these laws and the policies, the way that they're being applied. And the one thing that I will add is that we're welcoming any help that anyone would love to lend to us. Anyone who's listening to this, if you have any relationship or with anyone that is in that position to use their platform to enact any change, then I definitely will love you to be put in contact with me. And we're welcoming any help from anyone.
How can people reach out to you, Stephen?
Well, I can give you personally my mobile number is area code.
No. But if you give us, how about an email address? Let's do that.
No, I'm only kidding. But STEPHEN Kelly KELLY.law at gmail.com. I'm on pretty much every social media platform, and social media has been a savior for me in this case. A lot of people reached out to me once I put the initial story up and just telling me that they were out there, and I got their contact. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have certain witnesses that I do have. So her getting her story out is going to be very, very important.
So you've been doing it all, and we want to be able to help you in this fight and to fight along with you if we can. Diamonds, I can't, darling, I wish that I, had, a magic wand and could, have prevented all of this from happening. But you are a very strong woman. I commend you, and please take care of yourself and your child and your man. And I know that he will be coming home soon. And I want to thank you all for coming on and giving us this much of your time. We really did not account for this going as long as it did, but I thank you for sharing your story. And before we leave out, Diamonds, we just want to give you the last word on anything that you think that we have not addressed or want to talk about, if you can.
For one, I would love to thank these beautiful Black women, Dignity Power, because without them, I would still be sitting in there. Mm-hmm. They got that check together for that $535,006 for me to come to my child.
Wow,
it's amazing.
Let me just say that the advocacy groups include Dignity Power.
Yes.
And let me know if I'm saying these right. The National Bail Fund Network. Yes, and the Minnesota Freedom Fund raised in excess of funds to pay for your bond and are calling for the charges to be dropped. Well, we stand with them and calling for the charges to be dropped. Will you stay in touch with us and let us know what more, or to give us an update on this and what more we can do to help you in this process? You're a strong woman, and you deserve all of this. And of course, Coy, if you want to wrap this, and we thank you for bringing the story to us. And Coy, if you want to close out with anything.
I just want to thank you all again for joining us. Diamonds, I understand that this takes an incredible amount of strength to tell your story and to even just hear the 911 tapes. I am so happy once again that you and your fiance lived to tell the story after going through this situation. I would also like to know, are there any other ongoing fundraising efforts that we can be made aware of in terms of bail for Mr. Anthony Gant?
As of right now, we also have a GoFundMe account for Diamond's Ford as well. And also, I believe it is Sybil Power.
What? Well, the very first thing is going to be trying to figure out what happens with that. The bond reduction courses. Mm-hmm. Also asks for a non-monetary bond, but we established her GoFundMe. We had a number of people who contributed, and she does have some funding for reacclimation and things of that sort. And of course, if he does get a reasonable bond set, they lost everything. They lost their homes, their cars, and their jobs because she was locked up for 131 days. But what the hopes would be is we have two things going. There's a GoFundMe account, but that account is for reacclimation of Miss for Miss Ford. But Mr. Gant's family has also established a GoFundMe account. I do not have the information. I can't provide it over to you at the time, Coy. But the one thing that I would say that everyone could do to really, really help me is there is a petition. We're up to about 15,000 signatures now on change.org. And it is a petition asking the state attorney, Melissa Nelson, to drop these charges against Ms. Ford. And if you simply Google change.org, Diamonds Forward petition, and if any of your viewers support what's going on and what our efforts are to drop these, have these charges dropped, please sign the petition.
Wonderful. That's done. That's something we can all do and get on board immediately. Mr. Wade Roll, give that young man a raise.
He's working very hard.
Yeah.
Great job.
That was his raise right there. So he's working very hard.
Raise.
I'm glad we can end on a happier and a lighter note. God bless you. God bless you, Diamonds, and may He continue to keep you in the palm of His healing hands and with His loving arms around you and your family. And for you, Stephen, I just can't thank you enough for bringing this story to our attention, and for Coy for pursuing it and bringing you guys here today. So, and once again, we would like you all to come back and to give us updates, maybe even on Thursday, to find out what happened in court. If you could just, let us know that as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. All right.
Thank you guys again for having us.
Thank you.
Sybil, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
You too. Thank you so much.
A real joy. I've been a long time fan.
Right.
Thank you.
Of yourself. I watched your show, and thanks for having us. And hopefully, thank you for using your platform to help us.
Thank you.
And we're here for you whenever you need us. Okay.
Steven, I'm glad you said you was a long-time fan as opposed to I was listening to you when I was a young boy. That's the wrong shit to say, Steven.
It's the truth. I'm partially acute from watching the show.
Put the cue in. The cue's gonna let you know.
Yeah, I don't know what he said, but seriously, man, I'm huge fans of. I mean, you guys do so much for our community, man, and we all owe that obligation. And Miss Ford found herself in the fell clutches of circumstance, and here we are coming all together to do the right thing. And but for us, we can't ask anybody else to do anything for us that we're not willing to do for us.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. And we learn from the best from Tom Joyner, and we want to continue to be there for you guys. So thank you so much, and God bless you, and keep up the great work.
All right, now.
God bless y'all.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Good luck to you, Diamonds.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You guys.
That was tough.
That was wow. And Coy, when he said, because we know the event happened on September 28th, but when he said in November, and I'm doing the gazintas, and I'm thinking to myself, that's 3 months later, 4 months later that she was finally out. And no wonder they lost their home, their cars, their jobs. And this is just, I know I sound very, very naive and juvenile, and I say, that's just not fair. But damn it, it's not.
That's how so many people get caught up in the system.
Yeah.
So many people.
It really helps to put things into perspective when you hear the reasons why we have bail reform going on, why there have been people championing to get rid of that, because it targets a certain class, and in our case, our race. And it makes it so that we cannot live our lives because we're subjected to being in this jail cell, and that effectively cuts off our funds, it cuts off our forms of communication, it cuts off our life.
Right.
Every time Coy talks militant, her plants grow a little bigger.
Hey, Chris, I thought I saw one plant do this.
But Lord knows we want Diamonds and her fiance to get through get to the other side of this. But this case is just so much bigger than them. It's like what they are battling is the police, and not just the police in Jacksonville, the police everywhere. Their unwillingness to admit fault, their unwillingness
to do the right thing.
I mean, so that to admit that they did not follow procedure.
We effed up.
Right. That's it. They could have ended this. We fucked up. These officers are going to be, suspended or whatever it's got to be. But no. But rather than to protect their careers, and not get written up for breaking in windows without announcing and everything, they're going to build this case against this young couple. It's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
It sounds like we also need to.
And like Yolanda said, like the judge and everybody else in this case, they didn't hear the audio. They didn't hear what we heard.
Right.
They didn't. Right. And in the case now, they've seen the video. They haven't seen the video. Come on.
Right.
Come on.
It sounds like we need to get rid of something called qualified immunity, which allows for police to basically commit crimes against us.
Coy, you now giving us a laundry list of things that we need, and then in the newsletter today, we're talking about the state of Florida and how the governor has initiated these proposals to change voting rules and regulations. And he has joined 27 other red states that have tried to change the rules since they all lost their leader in the November election. And so, voting by mail ballots, and in Georgia, they're talking about getting rid of early Sunday voting, voting early on Sundays, which is for us is the souls to the polls day, right? These are all things that and I know it sounds like a lot, and as Coy, just said, the laundry list. There's so many things that we have to work on, but we all have to take a stand in some form or fashion, whether it is in the social justice against this police department, against the state, against the country. But we all have to make a stand somewhere and somehow, and to make some changes. We can't just rely upon the change that took place in November. Right. We have to keep moving. We really absolutely.
They're going to keep on changing the laws. They legally doing the right thing. We got to change the laws.
Okay, so before we go, Coy, I want you to give us a quick synopsis of your story today, talking about Mr. Ligon. And he is Joe Ligon, who is been released after 70 years in prison.
So we have a case of a person
70 years, 70.
70, yes. A case of a person who was out with friends. He was 15 years old. The year is 1953. They were drinking for the first time and decided to just run amok in Philadelphia. They went on a robbery and stabbing spree, which ended up injured 4 people, and it ended up killing 2. There was a admission of guilt hearing, which is basically just trying to get you to admit you did something because we're going to arrest you for something. And he admitted to stabbing 1 person. However, he maintains to this day that the person he stabbed did not die. He was charged with murder and sentenced to a mandatory life sentence at 15 years old. Here we are almost 70 years later. He was just freed because of a recent decision with the Supreme Court in a separate case that ruled giving a mandatory life sentence for juveniles is unconstitutional. So his lawyer was able to argue this in court and allow for Mr. Ligon to be freed, totally freed. And he was also offered other deals. He was offered clemency through the governor at one point in time of Pennsylvania, and also offered a parole deal, both of which he rejected because he didn't want to be freed under parole, which would require him to be under supervision for the rest of his life. And he just said, that's just not the idea of freedom that I've had since I've been incarcerated. Now that he has been freed, he has been, reintroduced to society, which has changed drastically since.
How many generations later, right?
That's so crazy to come out and your bedroom is still decorated for a 15-year-old.
Right. From 1953.
I know.
He's looking for cracker.
I got a Nat King Cole poster on my wall still.
He's looking for Cracker Jack boxes that cost 15 cents still. Like, everything has changed. Unfortunately, he said most of his right. Oh gosh, and he did say. I did further research. Most of his family has passed away, so he's one of the few people that are surviving after all this time.
Wow. Now he's calling up old girls he knew when he was 15. Hello, Eloise.
Gertrude, put on that dress I like. We going out of town.
It's your boy Johnny.
That is awful, man.
I just hope that
He spent his whole life in the system.
Yeah.
And only drank once.
One time.
I tell you what, that second drink gonna hit.
I just hope he can live a wonderful life, you know, with dating apps like Plenty of Fish and what have you. He may be able to get married. Really quickly.
What? I'm swiping?
They didn't even have cell phones back then. They didn't.
He's on dating sites, goldenfelons.com.
Oh, that shit ain't funny, dude. God damn, man.
He ready to stab something else.
Let me just leave you guys with just a word, and you know what it is. It's time for
Yogi's Juice.
And this really applies to what we had tonight. Don't allow sadness to suck the life out of you. Live. Really live.
Who's this girl's sadness?
Huh?
Who's this lady's sadness you're talking about?
Don't let it suck off. You got to stay off those sites, bro.
Oh, there she is on goldenfelons.com. Her name is Sadness.
Who is this girl, Sadness?
And she wears dentures.
We call her Gumby.
A really good thing.
We call her Gumby.
Yogi's Juice. Keep going, Sybil. Keep going. We're sorry.
I'm done.
We've been serious for a whole hour. We're trying to get it in.
I know. Do you guys have an Insomnaholics coming up?
Oh boy, huh? We doing Insomnaholics this Saturday, Chris?
Yes, we broke up. We're back together.
We back together.
Popular demand.
Yeah, we didn't even tell people we broke up. You know.
and nobody gave a shit. That's
I just found out we broke up today.
You scroll down their Instagram page and see they took down the pictures of each other. That's how you knew they broke up.
I'm cutting his face out of pictures and shit. I feel like a real bitch right about that.
Hey, thanks you guys. We appreciate you coming on
and
being a part of this.
Oh my gosh, it was a powerful show today. Thank you. We needed it.
And Coy, thank you for all the good work, and let's continue to bring this story to the people and updating them.
What did that middle plant too, Coy? That thing looked like it's leaning a little bit right there.
Before we go, tell them what you were trying to do before we came on.
Yeah, so I have these
she's selling her own monogram plants. She's selling monogram plants.
We're gonna be moving soon. Moving the plants into some better homes because you see they're leaning and they're so tall that they can't support themselves. So I have
that's a big ass bag of weeds you got right there.
Hold on, are we gonna go off the air without mentioning how young lawyer dude was trying to give Sybil his number? Are we gonna cover that?
Yeah.
You can call me.
You can call me at
area code.
I used to listen to you when I was younger.
When my mama took me to kindergarten. Yeah.
On the way to
a lot of that, sir.
Hey, I used to say the same shit about Nancy Wilson, Sybil. I had the biggest crush on Nancy Wilson, boy. Oh my God.
I never knew that.
I love Nancy Wilson. She was so classy and just elegant, man.
And you, okay, so next Monday, Coy will be back and
I'd have messed up plenty of Jet magazines. Oh, you talking about the Nancy Wilson story?
No. I'm wondering about the return of Huggy and Chris.
I just found out we broke up today. Now we're back together. Back by popular demand.
If we break up again this week, we'll still come on. But you gotta put us on different rows. I can't be next.
Okay,
week.
You can't be. Yeah,
No,
I get it. Okay,
yeah.
okay. We'll work on that. Thank you so much.
It's going to be the unsung show this Saturday.
I've been one of those, so yeah, I understand.
Thank
you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you guys, Chris and Huggy. I appreciate you, Coy.
Great job, Coy.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, J. Anthony Brown. We'll see y'all. Good night.